Rabies cases have been steadily on the rise, and this is a picture that I took when I was a park ranger. Yes, I've been vaccinated for rabies. No, this was not the incident that led to that, and I did text this fellow a year later to see that he was still alive. He did not get rabies. Found a little brown bat on his backpack and made the horrible decision to pick it up. Not something you should do. Let's talk about what happens when you get rabies. First off, contrary to popular opinion, you can take a sample from a living person, and this test is only approved for people and it's not fully accurate. You can take cerebrospinal fluid, you can take a little bit of skin from the back of the neck, there's even some blood tests that work pretty okay. Why do we do this for people but not animals? Because you want to be absolutely damn sure you're right. If they have it, and you're wrong, you may expose other people, and it is the worst way to go. Most rabies cases, in the United States at least, come from bats, although feral dogs are a big cause worldwide. In the US, there's usually about 2 to 0 cases a year, but in recent years there's been about 10, and it is essentially 100% fatal. There's been around somewhere between 10 and 30 people who have actually survived rabies ever. And for some insane reason, probably just exposure, there are groups in Peru where about 10% of people have rabies immunoglobulin, meaning they may have a genetic immunity to rabies. Still don't want to get it. You really don't want to get it. This thing does take either weeks or months to make it to your brain. The reason that it takes quite so long is that it has to hijack your own cellular processes and walk one step at a time up your nerves, and once it gets to your brain, it can then proliferate rapidly. If you catch it early, then you can get immunized prior to it getting into your nerves. How long it takes between getting bitten and when vaccinations are no longer effective is up for debate. No one's entirely sure. We do know if you get bitten on the face, then you tend to get ill with it much, much faster. Once it gets to your brain, it will then upregulate your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, making you terrified of absolutely everything. That's why we see animals who are no longer interested in eating and just attack everything, because they are absolutely terrified. And when humans have it, you are no exception. There's also hydrophobia, which is a classical symptom because it paralyzes your throat. So then you end up salivating, which is great if you want to spread. Rabies will actually colonate the salivary glands and will primarily be spread through bites. There is other evidence that it can be spread through other ways, not blood, but other bodily fluids that I don't want to think about how that happens, because you can't spread it unless you are symptomatic. And that means some things. There was also one human-to-human transfer case in the US in 2025, and that was under very specific circumstances. Yes, there is a possibility that you could get it through saliva, but no, that is not what happened. Somebody got a kidney transplant, and evidently the person who had given the organs had rabies. How does this happen? Don't people know they have it? No, it travels through the nervous system. It can have varying effects. There is the fearful of everything effect, and there's the paralytic effect. It might just look like you have swelling in your brain, and people may not think rabies. That's because it is so incredibly rare. Usually 0 and 2 is how many cases we have. More like 10 in recent years, but still extraordinarily rare. Now, hundreds of people used to get it in the US per year until we made vaccination widely available around the 1960s. Nowadays, 1.4 million Americans get vaccination in the US per year. Roughly 100,000 get post-exposure, but we are significantly more careful. If you're around domestic animals or wildlife, you're gonna get pre-exposure. And guess what? It's really effective. But why did I need to get vaccinated for rabies? The answer to that is I got in a fight with a marmot. Now, rodents are very unlikely to carry rabies. What happened is that I was camping on Mount Torment. Hold on. That is me on Mount Torment. Camped right around this area. You can see it's above the cloud line, and I had a marmot that was trying to get into my backpack. It's about 2 a.m. I pulled my backpack into my tent, thinking that'll be fine. I zipped it up, except I didn't zip it up all the way. So in the night, there's a marmot in my tent, and I was not thinking, and I slapped it. I slapped a marmot, and it bit me. When I got back, my doctor convinced me that I should go get a rabies vaccination. It's not likely that I could have gotten it from a marmot, but it is such a bad thing to get that it was worth it. This hiker, who I met when I was a park ranger, just got damn lucky. Also, hey, if you're out there, I hope you continue to be alive. Oh, and there are several reasons why bats are so efficient at spreading terrible diseases. These cute little bastards have an immune system where they don't actually clear viruses. They just pump out a large amount of interferon and suppress them, so they might be able to get around with rabies for quite some time. But that also means that viruses in them become so much more efficient, not to mention bats live in massive colonies in extraordinarily close contact, so they're just great at spreading stuff between them. Bats also have a fairly high body temperature, which might explain how they can suppress it for quite some time. Also, birds can get it, but only experimentally, so it's not impossible. So theoretically, a bird might get rabies. You ever been attacked by a goose? I have. Presently, we don't know if egg-laying mammals can get it. Mainly because of some comical error, it just never made it to Australia, nor did it make it to New Zealand. Although there is a rabies-like virus that lives in bats in Australia. The more you know.